Shalom. I truly pray all is well with you and your families. Today, I want to talk about one of the reasons I believe marriages and relationships are failing at an alarming rate. Not because people don't love each other, but because they don't know how to take responsibility for what they've done. Or worse, they refuse to. And when people refuse to take responsibility, everything starts to fall apart. Communication collapses, resentment builds, and eventually, even love becomes a source of pain rather than peace. And one of the most common complaints I hear from men, and I hear this constantly, is that their wife or the woman in their life never apologizes when she is wrong. This might sound trivial, but it's not. It's actually profound because it tells you something is fundamentally broken in a relationship dynamic, something deeply psychological. A refusal to say, "I'm sorry," is a refusal to acknowledge harm. And I get it, man. It's hard to keep loving someone who never admits when they're wrong. But here's the part that baffles me, my brothers. And honestly, at times it burdens me. You know she's wrong. You feel it in your gut. That sharp moment of disrespect, the passive aggression or the dismissal of your emotions or your heart. But instead of addressing it head on, the masculine way, the way a man and a leader should, you take the bait. She moves close. She initiates intimacy and you fold again. You call it moving on, but let's be honest, my brother, it's not. That's not healing. That's hiding or sweeping the real issue under the rug. And we all know eventually it gets taller and taller and taller until we trip over it. And every time you do it, every time you bury a piece of your voice, your, truth, I don't like saying that, but your reason for the offense gets quieter. Your confidence gets smaller. Your silence becomes your prison until all that's left is bitterness and silent resentment. Then you wonder why you're so angry, why you feel unseen, why she never apologizes. It's because you never gave her a reason to. You never stood on your ground long enough for her to feel the weight of what she did. You let your flesh speak louder than what you truly feel. And some of you keep letting your desires speak louder than your own convictions. She touches you and you forget the offense immediately. She seduces you and you surrender your position. You trade your standard for a moment of sensual satisfaction. You abandon your authority for access to something you already have the key to. And sadly, you call it making peace. But it's really just self-betrayal, my brothers. That's not masculine. That's a milksop mindset. For those of you who may not know what milksop means, it's like when you would dip a piece of bread or a cracker in milk and or a cookie, and you wait for it to get soft so that when you bite it, it doesn't crumble. You don't want that type of mindset. That type of mindset shapes to any circumstance instead of standing strong in the midst of whatever is going on. But real talk, my brothers, it's not all your fault. Since our teenage years, culture raised us on conquest. The more women, more intimacy, the more men you will be. So now in your marriage, intimacy is similar to a dog treat. Good job for fixing the sink. Here, boy. Thanks for buying me these shoes. Here, boy. And as a result, she doesn't say, "I'm sorry," when she's wrong. She just offers you intimacy. And because you've been conditioned to believe that intimacy is the goal in a relationship, you settle and accept it as an apology. What if you tried that? Imagine you hurt her, lied, disrespected her, shut her down emotionally, and instead of apologizing, you just walked up to her and started caressing her hips and tried to kiss her. She'd look at you like you had lost your mind. Because for her, intimacy doesn't replace responsibility. She wants you to acknowledge your wrong, not cover it up with affection or gifts. She wants you to take ownership, not offer touch as a shortcut to reconciliation. And when we offend them, they have no problem with putting us in the proverbial doghouse. We're cut off emotionally, physically, even conversationally until we make it right. But what happens when they offend us? We don't have a doghouse for them. We just take the affection and act like that settles the conflict. Personally, my brothers, I never fell for that double standard. There's no way I'm sleeping on the couch because we had a disagreement. That's immature. That's childish. My wife and I either talk like adults and resolve the issue, or we get help from our counselor. But one thing's for sure, I'm sleeping in the bed. And here's the part I believe most men miss. When you surrender to her giving you her body instead of giving you a sincere apology, you don't just lose your position, my brothers, you lose more of her respect for you. And every time you stay silent just to keep the peace by getting a peace, the suppression of how you really feel eventually explodes into an argument, or even worse, separation. Because unspoken pain doesn't disappear. It mutates into distance. It mutates into resentment. It mutates into disconnection. And the tragedy is, my brothers, it doesn't have to end that way. If you would have just stood your ground, if you had restrained your drive for intimacy, if you had paused the pleasure in order to protect the principle, you wouldn't be questioning your worth right now. You wouldn't be questioning if you should stay married right now. See, this isn't about denying your desires. It's about not letting your desires deny you of what you deserve. It's about showing her and reminding yourself that your standard is not for sale, that you're not just here to keep her satisfied. You're here to be respected and loved too. Because when a woman sees a man who won't trade truth in for a touch, she may resist him at first, but deep down, she learns he is not a slave to his lust and respects him more. She begins to value his word and respect his word, and even more importantly, believe it. You can't crave communication, or better yet, you can't crave connection and avoid confrontation. And I get it again, my brothers, you don't want to start another argument. But intimacy is an illusion of peace, and so is silence. Both, when as a result of conflict, is just postponed pain. We've been conditioned to be emotionless. We can't even connect with the person we're sleeping with. So now intimacy is just a cover-up for conflict. It's the new I'm sorry. But brothers, it's not enough, and you know it's not. And if you keep allowing it to happen, you will never be treated the way you deserve. You want respect? Well, first start respecting yourself. You want her to value your heart? Stop giving access to your body when your heart is hurting, or when your heart has been hurt by her. Because the longer you avoid confronting the problem, the harder it becomes to live with her. So here's what I want you to do, my brothers. Action step number 1. Self-control is strength. When she wrongs you and tries to initiate intimacy, instead of apologizing, stop her. Gently, respectfully, and clearly let her know that, hey, I feel disrespected by what you said, or hurt by what you did. And before I give you my body again, this needs to be resolved. A mature woman will respect that and will acknowledge the impact of her actions. And if she doesn't, still do not fold. Hold your ground and seek wise counsel, a therapist, someone grounded that hopefully you both respect. But do not trade in your position for pleasure. If she never feels the consequences of crossing the line, why would she ever stop? Correction is love. And remember, my brothers, silence is not. Here's action step number 2. Forgive quickly, but respond wisely. It's written that we should get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Suppressing bitterness does not make you stronger, my brothers. it actually makes you weaker. A 12-year study conducted by researchers from the University of Rochester and Columbia University found that chronic bitterness has been linked to increased stress hormone levels, high blood pressure, and even a weakened immune function. I also want you to remember that you don't need to be angry in order to be assertive. When we forgive quickly, you'll be able to speak without yelling. You'll be able to lead without lashing out. If you do not master this skill, gentlemen, you'll end up apologizing to her when she's the one wrong. I can't tell you how many times I've been in that position where Nicole would do something to offend me. And because of my reaction, not a response, but my reaction of yelling and being dogmatic, I end up having to go get her flowers and apologizing, and her offense never gets addressed. So just for clarity, forgiveness isn't letting her off the hook, my brother. It's a counter that keeps you from being bitter and keeps you in the right standing, which is most important, with the Most High. Master your emotions or they will master you. And lastly, action step number 3, when she apologizes, receive it. Don't just nod, my brothers. Say the words, I forgive you. Those words hit different. They remind her and you that an offense happened and reconciliation matters. And like the word says, don't let the sun go down on your wrath. Make peace, restore intimacy, authentic intimacy, where your hearts connect, not just your bodies. Because once the apology comes, the reconciliation can begin. And when intimacy returns, intimacy won't be a temporary act of pleasure, but a sacred expression of oneness. It becomes communion, not compensation, a reflection of trust, not a replacement for truth. My brothers, you are more than an erection, more than a release. You are human, a leader, made in the image of the Most High Yah. And this moment in time is demanding something greater of you. Stop giving into intimacy when what she needs is your standard, for you to stand strong on your convictions. Stop calling silent strength. Stoicism is not strength. It's another, I would say, a way of saying you're hiding behind a facade. It's just not the way we should act as men. It's not the masculine way of being bold and confronting a wrong so that it can be made right. Always speak with love, but please stand with strength. Lead with clarity and, again, conviction. My brothers, if this resonated with you, if you felt both convicted and equipped, then maybe you're ready to dive deeper. I'm creating a series called Combat Communication that goes even deeper into the principles I discussed today, and it will be exclusive on my Patreon. And so if you haven't already joined my Patreon, consider doing so. If you're ready to be trained by me, if this is an area that you need to develop in and grow stronger, and you would like to learn more, then join the Patreon Brotherhood that I created. The link is below in the description. And as always, I pray this video was an encouragement to you. Maybe use it as a discussion starter with your wife or the woman in your life. If you would like to be notified when I upload another teaching, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Until next time, my brothers, keep growing, keep building, and keep striving to be the man the moment demands. Shalom.